Are you a supernaturally curious travel enthusiast? Do you prefer your vacations with a side of haunting, a little ghost with your toast? Well, then you came to the right place, because I am the ghost tourist, and these are the Kennebunks of Maine.
Where in the world are you hiding, my dear, my dear? I caught a glimpse of something very weird. A ghost, I fear, is near me, dear. A ghost has slipped into my world, my world.
Who doesn't love a New England cemetery in the fall? I find it such a beautiful, quiet place to contemplate mortality and a great reminder to use my days on this earth well. I'm the ghost tourist, and I'll provide you with reviews, tips, and tricks as I travel to some of the world's hottest paranormal vacation destinations and experience the best of what the daylight and the dark have to offer. Spooky New England cemetery! Okay, so right now we're passing over the Piscataqua River Bridge from New Hampshire into Maine. The Kennebunks lie along the southeastern coast of Maine, where the Kennebunk and Moosom rivers meet the Atlantic. It's a super romantic road trip. As you travel along the rocky coastline, you'll hear the ocean surge and thunder. We've got some quite eerie vibes today, though. Some real Stephen King weather. And joining us on this trip is our dog, Gilligan. In modern times, it's only a 2-hour drive from Boston or 5 from New York. Maine isn't dubbed vacation land for no good reason. Millions of visitors have been lured by its pine forests, pristine lakes, and sandy shores. The general coastline of Maine only measures 228 miles, but the tide coastline, which includes all the inlets and bays, measures 3,478 miles. And all this shoreline is protected by 65 lighthouses, and almost all of them are reportedly haunted. But as many tourists enjoy the pleasures of Maine, they also never realize that it's full of chilling tales from a dim and distant past. Just gazing upon this scraggly shoreline conjures images of shipwrecks and phantoms. For instance, the tale of the Isidore. On a November night in 1842, 2 young sailors both had nightmares. The first, Thomas King, dreamt about the wreckage of a ship and its crew washed along the shoreline. The second, Paul Grant, dreamt he saw 7 coffins with himself in one of them. Despite the consequences, Thomas deserted his duty, but Paul boarded the ship. A day later, he set sail from Kennebunkport on the Isidore, a 3-masted vessel on her maiden voyage, bound from Maine to New Orleans. They left in calm seas, but quickly, a terrible snowstorm kicked up. The Isidore was smashed to pieces on the Bald Head Cliffs off of Cape Nettic. There were no survivors. Only 7 of the 15 crew were recovered. 7 bodies, 7 coffins, including the coffin of Paul Grant. On cold, lonely nights, fishermen have reported spotting the Isidore, a ghostly specter of a ship traveling full sail from here to eternity with a crew of Kennebunkport sailors who would never make it home. We're about to eat at the Tides Beach Club, and yes, it is haunted. Nestled beside Goose Rocks Beach, this turn-of-the-century Victorian is said to be haunted by Emma Foss, a former owner who in her day hosted the likes of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, though that claim is highly debatable. Take caution when staying in room 305. That is Emma's room. All my husband needs is a red balloon, and then he's straight out of a Stephen King novel. Very appropriate. The weather's a little insane this weekend, but it's very atmospheric for all of the ghost storytelling. I think Gilligan. Kennebunk and Kennebunkport are technically two separate towns, but their histories have always been intertwined. Their archaeological record dates back over 11,000 years.
The area was incorporated by European settlers in 1653 as part of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. The names changed a few times over the years, finally settling on Kennebunk in 1821 when Maine became its own state. Puritans, Papists, Huguenots, settlers and natives, pirates and cavaliers, French, Dutch, and British have all fought over Maine. That's in large part due to its wealth of fishing, agricultural, and shipbuilding resources.
They would float timber from the interior down the river, where it would be processed in the local sawmills,
Then make its way to the shipyards where they built the frigates and schooners. In the 19th century, the Kennebunk shipyards were prolific. During this time, many of the beautiful Summer Street houses were built by wealthy merchants and shipmasters.
including this very famous house behind me.
Originally a spare Federal-style house, former owner George Washington Bourne added the frosting in 1852 when he was inspired by the Milan Cathedral. Right next door is the Waldo Emerson Inn, built in 1753. The house's haunted reputation dates back to the 1920s when the former owners were so perturbed by the extensive paranormal activity that they organized an exorcism that involved 7 priests. Nowadays, the innkeeper states that the spirits are quite friendly, including a playful ghost that's known to tickle guests' feet when they're in bed. "3 o'clock. Know what that means? Finally check-in time." So as I mentioned, by the end of the 18th century, Kennebunk had a massive shipbuilding industry.
And in the center of this bustling town, the Kennebunk Inn, built in 1799. Originally a private home owned by a doctor, it was converted to an inn and tavern in the 1920s.
This'll be our dog-friendly home for the weekend. Let's check in. Okay, we're in room 4. Pretty spare, standard hotel room, but the bed looks very comfy. Really all we need for the weekend since we're going to be out and about.
I'm sitting here on the porch of the Kennebunk Inn. Over the years, there's been dozens, if not hundreds, of employees, but perhaps one of them never clocked out. The phenomena all began in the 1970s after a renovation, when the staff began to sense a presence. Doors would open and close on their own, boxes would tumble over in the basement, there'd be strange noises, and on one occurrence,
A mug levitated off the back bar.
and smacked a bartender named Dudley in the back of the head, with multiple witnesses present. The former owner went on record with the local news about the phenomena. She also stated that a waitress at the time was a bit psychic and that she was afraid to go down into the basement because she believed there was the spirit of a man named Cyrus. A local woman read the news and recognized the spirit not as Cyrus, but as Silas Perkins, her father, who was a former night watchman who passed away at the inn in 1952 of a heart attack when he was 72 years old. It is now widely recognized that Silas is the ghost who haunts the Kennebunk Inn. Silas Perkins was born in 1880, the son of a ship captain, and died in 1952. Besides being a night watchman, he was also a published poet.
His poem, The Common Road, was even read at President Roosevelt's funeral in 1945.
And this beautiful park in town is dedicated to his memory.
We may have some dreary weather, but this town keeps it colorful. We're back over in Kennebunkport. Lots of seasonal decorations, cute shops, places to eat and drink, and all the lobster paraphernalia your little heart could want.
Obviously, you can't come to Maine and not have a lobster roll, so we're here at Mabel's Lobster Claw, open since 1953.
Everyone's just dying to eat here. Just up the block from Mabel's is the Nonantum Resort, said to be host to over 27 spirits. But the hotel doesn't like to talk about it. Next stop, Batson River. They offer craft brews, small batch spirits, and a full menu of fresh-made pub fare. And as a bonus, they allow dogs on the porch. Another local haunt is Federal Jack's, the birthplace of Shipyard Ale. Perhaps you've had their pumpkin head before. Finally, night is upon us. Here's where things get spooky. We're taking a ghost tour tonight. That's our guide Diane in front. I'm really mesmerized by this cape. We're here tonight with American Ghost Walks, who offer tours all around the country.
And the rustling lady is supposedly in that bedroom window up there.
So this is Captain Lord Mansion, perhaps one of the most haunted buildings in Kennebunkport. The home was constructed by shipbuilders during the War of 1812. Due to a British military blockade, merchants couldn't set sail, so Captain Nathaniel Lord decided to keep his crew busy and had this lovely home built for his wife Phoebe. Captain Lord sadly passed away only 3 years after the home was completed, but his wife continued on raising their 9 children and lived into her 90s. She became quite literally attached to the place, and to this day often appears in her long flowing nightgown.
If you see her up close as a young woman, and she fades away into the wall as an old woman.
Make sure you look up as you stroll by, because Phoebe reportedly loves to keep watch from the cupola.
So come to Kennebunkport for ghost tours. We are through October. We'll start again in the spring. Love to see you and tell you some history and give you some great spirit experiences. Thank you.
What's up, Gilligan? What are you looking at? Do you see something we don't see? It's a fact dogs see better in low light, hear 4 times as much, and smell up to 10,000 times better than human beings. So it's very possible and scientifically proven that they detect things we cannot. But in Gilligan's case, he uses almost all those powers for squirrel prevention.
So Silas is reported to hang out in 2 parts of the hotel. The first is room 17, which is the room he was brought to after he had his heart attack in 1952. He did pass away in this room, and people often say they sense his presence, they feel cold spots, they hear sounds, but most notably, he likes to turn the television on and off. The next spot is obviously the tavern. That's where more of the unusual claims have taken place. There's one story a few years back when a waiter was carrying a tray of wine glasses to a table of patrons, and he felt the balance shift on the tray, and he looked down and saw one of the glasses began levitating, and he paused, and the table all turned around. They saw this. Multiple people saw this glass floating in the air, and then it suddenly flew across the room and shattered against the wall. Needless to say, I think those people probably left without their drinks, and the waiter took a few days off of work. I feel like I tell a lot of stories about haunted barware, but we're gonna do something a little different tonight. Since Silas seems to like an audience, we're gonna go in and have a drink and hang out with the living and see what happens. So a popular ghost hunting technique is spirit orb photography, but I will warn you, with iPhones, you're going to catch a lot of lens flares that are not spirit orbs. See how the movement of the orbs here matches the movement of my camera? That means it's nothing paranormal. We're going to take out our compass here, a very basic tool. Keep an eye out for any sudden or spinning needle movement. No levitating barware yet. The bar is closing down soon, so we'll come back in a bit after hours and conduct a solo session. I'm going to set up this bell for the night. It's an old-timey ghost hunting technique. If any spirits are present, they can ring the bell.
So Silas, if you're here with us, if you want to ring the bell, let us know.
There have also been multiple independent reports of the spirit of a young girl on the 3rd floor and staircase.
No one's really sure who she is, but a local psychic once picked up on the name Sara Emily. They said she likes to greet people by the stairs. Sara Emily, are you here to greet me? She also likes to run around in the halls upstairs and knock on doors. The current staff actually states that they get more reports about this young female spirit nowadays. She's very active up on the 3rd floor. Some people theorize it's a young girl who likes to make her presence known to people that remind her of her parents. We do have a little spin on the needle here. Sara Emily, do I have your attention? Are you here to say hello? I was speaking to the staff, and they claim the activities calmed down over the years. That, perhaps once Silas was correctly identified, he didn't resort to such attention-grabbing ways anymore. But they do claim that they sense a presence. There are still strange sounds. Things aren't where they left them sometimes. But just there haven't been any of the show-stopping floating objects in quite a few years. We'll place our compass down here in front of the tavern. Let it settle for a minute. Silas, are you still here at the Kennebunk Inn? If you are, can you make your presence known by moving the needle? I'm not really getting anything. Okay, we're setting up the ghost bell for the night. I'm fairly certain that's just dust that crossed the lens, but decide for yourself. If any spirits want to make their presence known in the night, they can ring the bell, and then perhaps we'll catch some ghostly prints. As you see, both my assistants are asleep on the job. Bedtime. So, it's definitely weird sounds in this hotel. It's a really old building though, and there's radiator pipes. And in old buildings like this, sometimes the sounds really are enough just to make you feel like a place is haunted. Also hearing a lot of footsteps. I'm assuming there's people staying upstairs, but there's no way of knowing. Good morning. It looks like the sun actually came out today. Yay! So last night, there's definitely just a lot of creepy sounds in this hotel. I know. No activity on the ghost trap. As you can tell, I'm the night owl, and my husband is a very early morning riser. Looks like he brought me some breakfast in bed, a nice-looking biscuit sandwich from Bev's Cafe next door. Now you can see what it looks like in the sunshine. This was such a sweet inn. The staff was super friendly. The bed was comfy. Now it's time to pack and hit the road. We'll end as we began, with a moment of quiet contemplation and awe of this rugged coastline. And there's really no better place to do that than at St. Anne's by the sea.
A ghost is near, I fear, my dear. A ghost has slipped into my world.
Hope you enjoyed this video. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know where you think the ghost tours should go next.
Slipped into my soul.